Hey everybody, welcome back to Road to Endgame, my Thor cosplay series. So last time we got everything glued together, and now while that's drying out in the garage, I decided that I really need to get some of my other pieces done. So right now we're cutting out the shin guards, as they call them. Get all the pieces cut out and we start pinning everything together. I figured by now you guys are pretty sick of seeing me cut stuff out, pin it back together, so I cut off a lot of that stuff. So this time I wanted to make sure everything was really as curved as it was supposed to be, because some of the issues I was having with the chest piece is that it wasn't curving correctly, which I'm hoping I can fix later. But I decided to heat this stuff up and then roll it up into pieces and just put like rubber bands on it. So right now I'm cutting out the gauntlets, and I've got them all pinned together, but in order to save time, because I'm sick of cutting foam at this point, I just put the two pieces together and started cutting them out. They're the exact same piece on either side. I didn't really see a point in not doing that. Like I said, some of the issues is that I left these for I think I left these rubber band together overnight. I could be wrong. I left them for a long time, and when I undid them, I noticed a lot of them had the rubber band marks still in them. I'm worried that some of that might stay, and I'm not really sure. We'll see how that goes. I got everything out, pinning everything together. Just kind of making sure the gauntlets look nice. As you can see, these are the shin guards that I'm working on currently. I pinned them together originally and then realized that I couldn't put them on because the needles would poke into me. So I decided to pin them from the inside out so I could try them on and make sure I got them exactly where I needed them to be. And it did work pretty well. Again, this is another piece that the pattern didn't really have, and I just went and traced out my own piece and kind of I did do a little bit of measuring, but I winged it a little bit more than I have been. At this point, I decided, and I looked at the temperature, and it's like 42 degrees, so I thought, okay, it's cold, it's warm enough to go outside and glue. So let's get this collar piece glued together, right? Wrong. By the time I actually got outside, it was like 38 degrees, 38 to 35, and it was so freaking cold that my hands were going numb trying to glue this stuff together. I'd actually planned on gluing most of the stuff that I had left, but because of how cold it is, I only ended up doing the neck guard, I guess is what you would call it. So instead, I went back inside, and I was like, all right, how do we get this together? I brought the chest piece upstairs, and so right here, I'm going to stop for a second. You see this black cloth that I have underneath the chest piece? First off, it looks really cool like that. Secondly, I have a cloth and foam mannequin, and that piece right there, I put it was a scrap piece. I put that there so that any of the glue wouldn't get on the mannequin. What I failed to realize was that the mannequin itself would absorb the glue smell. I don't know if I mentioned this before, another part I don't remember, but if you have a cloth mannequin, don't let your stuff, your stinky stuff, dry on it, because it will absorb the smell, and then you'll have to leave that outside as well. So anyways, I'm just trying to get an idea of how the cape is going to sit. At that point, I thought that I could just use my old cape from my previous Thor costume, but it really didn't work because of how it's the foam piece that's in it and how it's laid. So I'm just trying to see if I have enough of this black material that I was using as scrap to use as the back piece, and there was some more red that I was trying to see. I really ended up just not having enough material for anything. Right here, we're just trying to heat up the chest piece and get it just to align correctly. Like I said, it still looks pretty flat right here, so I ended up grabbing my belt and I just wrapped it around the damn thing and held it in place. That worked pretty well, actually. I left it like that for most of the afternoon, honestly, like probably 4 or 5 hours, and it did hold the shape pretty well. Not as well as I would have liked, but pretty well. So at this point, I decided that the belt looked so terrible that I could not use it. I just really wanted to redo the entire thing. And I'm running out of black foam, and I got sick of trying to trace onto black foam with the Sharpie. I decided to use red instead, and I think it worked pretty well. Honestly, these ones turned out looking way better than the other one did, and I'm really glad that I redid them. So after I finished with that, it was time to work on the inner belt piece. I'm not really sure what to call it. Yeah, I use, it's like vinyl straps with those clips. If you ever had a backpack with the clips and the vinyl straps, it's exactly the same stuff. I got them on Amazon for pretty cheap, a whole bunch of them, and I just wrapped that around Hank and tried to see where it would sit correctly. I also cut in a couple additional details, blasting them with the heat gun so that they would fit in place correctly. Alright, so after all that was done, I pretty much got everything together and just let it sit for a while. And I moved back to working on the belt piece. Now, I was originally going to just use the same pieces that I used before for the belt piece, but then I decided, screw that, I'm just going to cut it all out in one big piece and make it more stable. From there, I just started working on more details for the chest piece, because I didn't like exactly how the chest piece looked. Some of the details I had just cut into the foam, and it wasn't bad looking, but I really didn't like how that looked. So I decided to cut out some more details with the smaller foam. And after that, I was looking for some specific pieces, which we'll get into in the next episode, but I ended up just spending the rest of the evening sorting out my costume tote, and you guys don't really need to see that, so like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. I hope you've been enjoying these, and we'll see you shortly in the next video.